Welcome back to Swift Tale, the place where we bring you real stories that will shock, inspire, and remind you of the incredible resilience of the human spirit. If this is your first time here, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and tell me in the comments, have you ever been judged before anyone really knew your story? Today, I'm sharing a story that highlights the dangers of snap judgments, the power of recognition, and the importance of respecting people for who they truly are. Imagine this, a busy airport, travelers rushing to catch flights, the constant hum of announcements, and the tension that lingers in every security line. Now imagine being singled out in that chaos, flagged as suspicious simply because of the color of your skin. That's exactly what happened to a remarkable woman, someone who, to the untrained eye of airport security, seemed like just another traveler. But this woman was far from ordinary. What happened next would shock everyone present and completely flip the script on assumptions, prejudice, and recognition. In this story, you'll see how a single moment, a moment of misunderstanding, can either break someone down or reveal the strength and dignity that defines them. You'll witness fear, tension, and confusion, followed by a moment so powerful it left airport staff, passengers, and even bystanders in awe. You'll also see how societal biases sometimes blind people to the truth, and how courage and composure can turn even the most hostile situation around. This story matters because it reminds us that we all have the power to impact lives, often without knowing it. It challenges us to reconsider our assumptions, confront prejudice, and recognize achievements that are too often overlooked. And most importantly, it demonstrates that respect is not automatic. It must be earned and acknowledged, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. So sit back, because by the end of this video, you'll not only be moved, but also inspired to see the world and the people in it through a lens of awareness, empathy, and recognition. This is the story of a Black woman stopped at airport security, initially misunderstood, and ultimately saluted by the very agents trained to protect the nation. It's a story about courage, dignity, and the transformative power of recognition, and it all starts with one seemingly ordinary moment that becomes extraordinary. Before that fateful day at the airport, she was a woman whose life story could inspire anyone who heard it. Born and raised in a bustling city, she grew up surrounded by challenges that would have discouraged many, but she had an innate drive that refused to let circumstances define her. Her family faced financial struggles, and at times, she had to work part-time jobs while still excelling in school. Despite the obstacles, she never let her circumstances dictate her dreams. From a young age, she displayed a remarkable sense of responsibility, maturity, and an unyielding determination to succeed. Her educational journey was no less remarkable. She attended a public school that often lacked resources, yet she stood out as a top student, earning accolades and respect from teachers and classmates alike. It wasn't just academic brilliance that defined her, it was her willingness to help others, mentor younger students, and volunteer in her community. By the time she graduated, she had a record of achievements that spoke not just to her intelligence, but to her character. People around her began to notice a quiet strength, a sense of purpose, and a level of resilience that seemed far beyond her years. After college, she chose a path of service rather than easy profit. She joined programs that placed her in high-stakes environments, working to protect and serve her community in ways that were often invisible to the general public. From crisis management to leadership roles, she proved herself repeatedly, earning respect and recognition among her peers. Yet despite her growing list of accomplishments, she carried herself with humility, never seeking attention or accolades, knowing that her work mattered far more than her reputation. It was this combination of intellect, courage, and integrity that would ultimately shape the events that unfolded at the airport. While to the casual observer she might have looked like any other traveler hurrying through the security line, her life experiences, the challenges she had overcome, the skills she had honed, and the respect she had earned were preparing her for the moment when recognition and misunderstanding would collide. Her story reminds us that greatness often goes unnoticed until the right moment reveals it. And as we will see, that moment came when airport security misjudged her, not realizing the remarkable life standing in front of them, a life of service, strength, and quiet heroism that would soon earn her an honor few ever receive. The airport was a whirlwind of movement, a cacophony of rolling luggage, hurried announcements, and the constant shuffle of travelers rushing to make their flights. Among the crowd, she moved with calm efficiency, her posture composed, her eyes scanning the path ahead with practiced awareness. She carried herself with a quiet confidence, aware of her surroundings, yet focused solely on getting to her gate. But in a place designed to scrutinize every detail, even a moment of pause could draw attention, and on this day, it did. As she approached the security checkpoint, a security officer's gaze lingered a little too long. She noticed it but remained composed, offering a polite smile and placing her belongings on the conveyor belt. Yet the subtle tension in the officer's body language made it clear she had been flagged. Whispers exchanged between officers, a subtle tilt of the head, a quiet gesture toward the supervisor, everything indicated that the routine security check was about to escalate. The word suspicious hung in the air, though she had done nothing wrong. Passengers around her sensed the tension as well. Some gave curious glances, others avoided eye contact entirely, unsure of what was unfolding. Her heart remained steady, but inside, a storm brewed. She had faced prejudice before, yes, but never so blatantly in such a public, high-stakes environment. She knew that remaining calm was essential. Any sign of frustration could be misinterpreted as guilt. She took a slow breath, placing her hands gently at her sides, prepared to navigate whatever was coming next. The security supervisor stepped forward, his tone clipped but professional. "Ma'am, we need to ask you a few questions," he said. She nodded politely, maintaining eye contact, her voice calm as she responded. "Of course, how can I help?" But even as she answered, the subtle fear that accompanies misjudgment tightened in her chest. She could feel the scrutiny, the kind that sees the person before it as a problem to be solved rather than a human being to be respected. Within moments, another officer radioed quietly, and the tension escalated further. The words FBI were whispered, and her pulse quickened. She had no idea what had triggered this level of concern. She wasn't carrying anything suspicious, she wasn't acting out of place, yet in their eyes she was someone to be questioned, possibly detained. And in that instant, the weight of systemic bias and snap judgments pressed down, reminding her painfully how often appearances could overshadow reality. But as the minutes stretched, she remained composed. She remembered every lesson her life had taught her: patience, dignity, and the quiet strength of knowing who she truly was. Little did she know, the people approaching her, the ones who would soon walk into the terminal, were about to turn the entire situation on its head. The moment the words FBI left the radio, the atmosphere at the security checkpoint shifted. What had started as a routine scrutiny now felt like the weight of an entire system focusing on her. Airport security personnel moved with precise coordination, eyes flicking between their screens, her identification, and each other. Each step of their procedure was deliberate, almost rehearsed, yet it carried an unmistakable undertone of suspicion. She could feel it, the scrutiny, the unspoken judgment, the presumption that she was a threat. Despite the rising tension, she remained calm, her posture composed, her voice steady when answering the repeated questions about her travel plans, identification, and purpose of the trip. Yet inside, a quiet storm brewed. She knew that no amount of politeness or explanation could erase the initial judgment that had already been cast. Passengers standing nearby shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension but unsure whether to intervene or remain silent. Some glanced at their phones, snapping pictures discreetly, others whispered softly, speculating on what could have prompted such a serious response. The security supervisor, a man whose expression was a mask of professional concern, signaled to another officer. "We need the FBI here immediately," he said. The radio crackled again, confirming that a request had been sent. For her, the phrase was chilling. It implied danger, suspicion, and potential escalation beyond her control. And yet, despite the anxiety, she held herself with quiet dignity, refusing to let fear dictate her reactions. Minutes dragged on, each one amplifying the tension. Security personnel maintained their vigilance, careful to follow protocol while exchanging quick, uncertain glances. She noticed the subtle changes in body language, the slightly tighter stance, the careful placement of hands near communication devices, the whispered reassurances among the officers. Every detail was magnified, every movement noted. The air felt thick, heavy with anticipation, and she could almost sense the collective expectation that she would falter, say the wrong thing, or act in a way that would confirm their bias. And then, amidst the escalating tension, she realized something crucial. Composure was her only ally. Every measured response, every calm breath, and every respectful gesture became a shield against assumptions. She was not just defending herself in the moment, she was asserting her dignity in the face of systemic prejudice. Little did she know, the arrival of the FBI agents, the very people who would soon enter and salute her, was about to completely redefine this tense encounter, transforming suspicion into recognition and fear into awe. The rumble of heavy footsteps echoed down the terminal corridor as the first FBI agents arrived, their presence immediately shifting the energy in the security area. Airport personnel straightened, their previous confidence tinged with unease, while passengers leaned forward, curiosity sparking in their eyes. When the agents approached, it was clear that this was no ordinary security check. The stakes had just been elevated, and the atmosphere was charged with a mix of tension and anticipation. She remained composed, standing tall despite the rapid beating of her heart. Her hands were visible, relaxed at her sides, and she maintained steady eye contact with the lead agent. The agent scanned her ID, a brief look exchanged between them, and then something extraordinary happened. One of the senior agents removed his hat and gave her a crisp, formal salute. Another followed, their movements precise, respectful, and deliberate. The airport staff froze, their jaws slackening as the reality of the situation dawned. The whispers of "Who is she?" and "Why are they saluting her?" spread quickly among bystanders. Passengers pulled out their phones, capturing the scene, the mix of disbelief and awe mirrored on their faces. The very people who had assumed she was a potential threat were now witnesses to a public acknowledgement of honor and service. Her composure never wavered. A faint, polite smile touched her lips as she returned the salute, a gesture that radiated dignity and humility. The contrast between how she had been treated moments ago and how she was now being honored was almost surreal. For a brief moment, the terminal seemed suspended in time, every eye fixed on her, every heart silently grappling with the collision of assumption and reality. The lead agent spoke quietly, addressing her directly yet formally. "Ma'am, thank you for your service," he said. In that instant, it became clear why the salute had occurred. She was not just any traveler, she was a decorated professional, someone whose contributions and achievements commanded respect from the very agency that protected the nation. Passengers and staff alike exchanged looks of astonishment, some whispering apologies, others simply in awe. What had begun as a routine stop had transformed into a moment of recognition so powerful it left everyone present reevaluating their perceptions. The woman who had once been the target of suspicion now stood as a figure of respect, courage, and quiet authority, a reminder of the dangers of bias and the transformative power of acknowledgement. As the terminal slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy, the air remained charged with curiosity and awe. The FBI agent stepped aside, giving her space, while whispers rippled through the crowd of passengers and airport staff. It was at this moment that the truth behind the salutes began to emerge. This was not a random act of deference. She had earned it through years of service, courage, and unwavering dedication. She had built a career marked by accomplishments few could even imagine. From early in her life, she had demonstrated an exceptional ability to navigate high-pressure situations, often stepping into roles where stakes were life and death. She had trained in specialized programs, led critical operations, and earned commendations for bravery and intelligence. Her work had directly contributed to protecting countless lives and safeguarding national interests, achievements that were quietly recognized within elite circles but rarely celebrated in the public eye. As passengers and bystanders began to learn fragments of her story, their awe grew. Airport staff who had initially treated her with suspicion now understood the enormity of the misjudgment. Social media began buzzing almost immediately, capturing the scene and sharing the revelation that this seemingly ordinary traveler was, in fact, a decorated professional of exceptional skill. Her accolades, once known only to a select few, now illuminated the entire terminal, casting her in a new light that commanded respect and admiration. Despite the attention, she remained humble, embodying the poise and dignity that had defined her life. She answered questions politely, deflecting praise and giving credit to the teams she had worked with throughout her career. Her focus was never on recognition, but on service, on duty, and on doing the right thing even when no one was watching. In this moment, it became painfully clear why she had been misunderstood. Her presence alone, quiet and unassuming, clashed with the assumptions of those who had never seen the full picture. The same qualities that had made her exceptional in her field, confidence, composure, and capability, had been mistaken for suspicious behavior. And yet, it was those very same qualities that now earned her honor and admiration from the highest levels of authority. The terminal, once filled with tension and unease, had transformed into a scene of reflection and humility. Onlookers saw not just a woman, but a testament to the power of perseverance, expertise, and integrity, a living example of how assumptions can blind us to truth, and how recognition, when finally given, can inspire awe and respect in ways that words alone cannot convey. The moment the truth about her identity and achievements spread through the terminal, reactions came swiftly, a mixture of astonishment, embarrassment, and admiration. Airport staff who had initially treated her with suspicion now whispered apologies, their faces flushed with the recognition of their mistake. Passengers who had been wary or curious moments before now looked on with awe, some murmuring, "I can't believe she's accomplished all that," or "We misjudged her completely." Even the murmured chatter carried a sense of reflection, a subtle acknowledgement of how bias can distort perception. On social media, the story went viral almost instantly. Clips of the FBI agent saluting her were shared thousands of times, with captions praising her courage, professionalism, and humility. People from across the country weighed in, expressing shock at how assumptions based on appearance had caused such a serious misunderstanding. Many recognized the broader implications of the incident, sparking conversations about racial profiling, systemic bias, and the importance of seeing beyond stereotypes. Hashtags like Respect Her Service and Know the Story began trending, amplifying the narrative beyond the confines of the terminal. Amid the public attention, she reflected quietly on the incident. Despite the moment of recognition, she could not ignore the initial suspicion, the way she had been treated solely based on how she looked. It was a reminder of the challenges she had faced her entire life, the constant need to prove competence, the subtle prejudices, and the societal assumptions that had trailed her like shadows. Yet she also recognized the power of composure and integrity. By maintaining dignity in that tense situation, she had not only preserved her own sense of self, but also inspired a profound respect from those who had underestimated her. For the FBI agents who had saluted her, the moment reaffirmed the importance of acknowledging excellence and courage, even when the broader public might overlook it. Their respect was more than ceremonial. It was a recognition of years of service, sacrifice, and unwavering dedication. To them, she was a professional worthy of honor, someone whose presence demanded respect and whose achievements transcended the superficial judgments that had momentarily overshadowed her. The juxtaposition of suspicion and recognition created a profound lesson for everyone present. Appearances can be deceiving, and the truth often lies far beneath the surface. For her, the experience was both validating and sobering, a reminder of the work still needed to dismantle bias and ensure that all individuals are seen for who they truly are. Yet despite the lingering tension of initial misjudgment, she emerged from the experience with renewed confidence, a quiet sense of triumph, and a reaffirmed belief in the importance of integrity, courage, and perseverance. While the airport incident captured immediate attention, it was only a small reflection of a much larger issue, the pervasive problem of racial profiling in airports and public spaces. Across the country, countless travelers face similar situations every day, stopped, questioned, or scrutinized not for their actions, but for their appearance. Studies have shown that Black travelers are disproportionately subjected to heightened security measures, extra screenings, and suspicion, often resulting in humiliation, stress, and even legal consequences. Her experience, while extraordinary in the outcome, highlighted the uncomfortable reality that such biases are systemic and deeply ingrained. The incident sparked important conversations about perception versus reality. Security personnel, despite rigorous training and strict protocols, are not immune to unconscious bias. In their eyes, a momentary behavior, a facial expression, or even simply the color of someone's skin can trigger assumptions that lead to unnecessary escalation. For bystanders and fellow passengers, the event was an eye-opening reminder that the lens through which society views individuals can distort the truth, overshadowing actual achievements, character, and intent. Her recognition by the FBI, while inspiring, also illuminated a crucial point. Acknowledgement and respect can counterbalance prejudice, but only if systems are willing to look beyond surface-level judgments. It raised questions for viewers. How many talented, courageous individuals go unnoticed every day because their accomplishments don't fit preconceived narratives? How often are people unfairly judged or even penalized simply because of stereotypes or unconscious assumptions? By framing her story within this larger societal context, the lesson becomes clear. The importance of vigilance, empathy, and awareness cannot be overstated. Her composure and dignity under scrutiny became not just a personal triumph, but a broader lesson in challenging bias, advocating for fairness, and recognizing excellence where it exists, regardless of appearance. This story, while centered on one individual, reflects a universal truth. Society benefits when we rise above prejudice and honor the achievements and character of all people, not just those who fit an expected mold. It is precisely this juxtaposition, suspicion versus respect, that makes her story both remarkable and educational. The incident at the airport is a microcosm of systemic bias, and her experience serves as a beacon for change, showing that awareness, understanding, and acknowledgement can transform moments of tension into lessons of courage, dignity, and justice. After the flurry of activity had died down and the terminal returned to its usual rhythm, she found a quiet corner to gather her thoughts. The experience had been both validating and sobering, a stark reminder of the realities she had navigated her entire life. She reflected on the tension, the fear, and the subtle judgment that had greeted her at the airport, and how, in a matter of moments, those assumptions had been replaced with respect and recognition. The contrast was almost surreal, but it underscored a profound truth. Composure, dignity, and integrity are powerful tools in the face of bias. She thought about the lessons the day had taught, not just for herself, but for anyone witnessing the event. First, that identity and achievement cannot always be measured by appearances. Second, that patience and calm can transform potentially hostile situations into moments of acknowledgement and understanding. And third, that systemic bias is pervasive, but individual courage and professionalism can challenge and even dismantle it in meaningful ways. These reflections were deeply personal, yet universally relatable, a reminder that how one carries oneself in adversity can inspire respect, even from those who may initially misjudge. Her thoughts also turned to the broader impact of the incident. She realized that her experience could serve as a catalyst for conversations about racial profiling, equality, and the need for systemic change. While the FBI recognition had brought immediate validation, it was the quiet lesson to the public, to onlookers, and to her peers that carried lasting significance. The story was no longer just hers. It belonged to everyone striving for dignity, recognition, and justice in the face of prejudice. Despite the initial fear and tension, she felt a renewed sense of confidence. She understood that her achievements, her dedication, and her composure had turned a potentially humiliating moment into a testament to resilience and professionalism. Looking back, she recognized the power of her response, not just in changing the perception of the officers or the public, but in reaffirming her own sense of self-worth and purpose. Ultimately, the day at the airport became more than an encounter. It became a reflection on courage, integrity, and the human capacity to rise above bias. Her story reminded her, and now the world, that being judged unfairly is painful, but responding with dignity and authenticity can create a lasting impression that transforms misunderstanding into respect and suspicion into admiration. As the events of that day settled into memory, the story of the airport incident became more than just a tale of mistaken suspicion. It evolved into a lesson in dignity, courage, and the power of recognition. The woman who had been flagged as suspicious stood as a living testament to resilience, professionalism, and the quiet strength that comes from a lifetime of dedication and integrity. Her experience reminded everyone who witnessed it, either in person or through the viral clips online, that assumptions can be misleading, but respect, once given, can transform perceptions and inspire lasting change. For viewers, the story carries a powerful message. Never underestimate the person standing in front of you and always look beyond surface-level judgments. Prejudice, whether conscious or unconscious, can cloud perception and obscure truth. Yet moments of recognition, even small gestures like a salute or acknowledgement, can illuminate character, inspire respect, and foster understanding. Her composure, humility, and courage serve as a model for responding to adversity with grace and strength, demonstrating that dignity is a force more potent than suspicion. This story also highlights the broader responsibility of society to challenge bias, honor achievement, and approach others with empathy. It reminds us that respect is earned through actions, integrity, and commitment, but it is also a gift we can give to those who deserve it, often in ways that reshape their lives and influence the world around them. If you're visiting Swift Tale for the first time, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more stories that inspire, shock, and teach lessons about humanity. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever witnessed or experienced a moment where someone's true worth was initially misunderstood? How did it change the way you see the world? Remember, each story we share carries a lesson, and this one teaches that courage, dignity, and authenticity will always shine brighter than prejudice. By sharing this story, you're helping spread awareness, empathy, and respect. Until next time, this is Swift Tale, reminding you to look beyond appearances and honor the stories, achievements, and humanity of those around you.